Hey y'all, I want to kick this video off with a really big thank you for all the kind words and positive feedback as a result of watching the Why I Ride video. Just a ton of new subscribers as a result of watching that, and I really appreciate all the great feedback. I pledge to keep this channel genuine, avoid the hype that you usually see on social media, the kinds of things that I remember watching on a 1960s Batman episode. Okay, enough said. So when I was young, I used to say things like, I will never do such and such. Well, I also remember my dad saying, never say what you ain't gonna do. Well, it took me a long time to kind of figure out what that meant. In my thumbnail, I think you can see that there are many factors that allow us or cause us to change our way of thinking, affects our choices with time. But back in the day, I remember saying to my dad, I will never listen to country music. I don't know how you can stand to listen to it. And I don't mean the kind of rap country music that you're hearing today. But initially when I was going into the Harley dealerships, I just loved the Fat Boy. I still love it today. I love the way it looks. Well, maybe not the most current style of Fat Boy, but if I line up all the Harleys, I'd look at a Sportster, a Fat Boy, maybe a Road King Classic, and then a Road King Custom at the time in 2007, and then a Street Glide, and then an Electra Glide, and then an Ultra. And then I'd see bikes with windshields, and I would say things like, I don't, windshield maybe, but bags, maybe a Classic, they're kind of soft bags. And then I'd go up and see the Street Glide. I just don't know that that's where I need to be. And then I'd see I will never own a bike with a big fairing on it. That Tour Pack just, that's just not me. That's the way I would say it. That bike is just not me. And that was my dog whistle for saying, I don't want a geezer glide. Age just affects our choices. That's really the bottom line for me. And I would think that for many of you as well. I would tell myself that, I can tolerate a windshield and maybe a Road King Custom. The bags are kind of soft bags. I can add some chrome to it and make it almost like a Fat Boy. But I wanted to go long distance, and I pretty much knew that the Softail was a nice bike, but I really wanted something that I could take and tour, but still try to be that cool young person I thought I wanted to be, or I thought I was. But I thought I would never own a Street Glide or at the time, and even I would say a geezer glide. But now, I've embraced the bike that I love to ride, the way it looks, the functionality. Our taste change with time. So the thing is, when we say things like, I will never do this, and my father would remind me, never say what you ain't gonna do. It used to be cool to me, for instance, to see guys roll on the throttle and block the front wheel and sit there and smoke the back tire until it explodes. Now, I think that's silly, to be honest. But again, the things that excite us or that we're interested in, they just change with time. So I think if this channel skewed more toward the 20-somethings range, or everyone else who doesn't have a white beard maybe, I say that a little tongue-in-cheek. The topic I'm sharing today might be a little more controversial, but I think that many of you might relate to something that I want to share with you today. Some might even say this topic is heresy in the Harley world, but we will find that out based on your comments after this video gets published. Now, when I say controversial, I don't mean controversial like in the forums where someone says, I think such and such is the absolute best oil to put in my Harley, or these particular slip-ons sound the very best and give the maximum horsepower of any set of exhaust. Again, controversial, I would never participate in those kinds of conversations. Okay, so have I primed the controversy pump enough here? Okay, enough said. You know, this past winter between 21 and 22, I was always in severe need of some garage therapy. Seemed like every week I was ordering things from Serial 3D or Custom Dynamics or KST Customs, just any number of things on this bike. You know, or I even put a heater here in the garage just so that I could have more opportunities to come out here and see my therapist. Well, let me lead into it like this. You know, me and Roxy, we love to camp. We've got a little 3-man tent from Kelty. We've had it for a number of years now, and that's all we've used to camp. But I'm gonna tell you what, I really struggle, and I do not enjoy crawling out of that tent a couple of times every night to, well, you know why I crawl out of a tent in the middle of the night. But I'm determined to get us a 5 or 6 man tent. I want something that I can stand up in. I need just a little more comfort. Now, how in the world am I going to pack up a 5 or 6 man tent on this bike and the other things? Now, well, that just requires space. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, I'll show you a photo of how we packed the Bumblebee. You know, we had a tour pack that we could put on and off. It didn't have near the volume that this has. And then we had a dry bag strapped to the top of that. Well, I'll show you a picture, but it was pretty silly actually. We had some covers on top of the saddlebag so I could strap down some dry bags on there without scarring up the top of the hard saddlebags. And so that was our first go around at packing and trying to be as comfortable as possible. So with that said, how am I going to get more gear to the campsite and be more comfortable? Well, you know, I've been watching a few YouTubers who use motorcycle trailers. Not that kind of motorcycle trailer. This kind of motorcycle trailer. You know, I've seen Bushtec trailers, Lumina. When we were coming back from Glacier this past August, we saw a group of guys that were leaving Kalispell and going to Sturgis this year. And, you know, he had a really nice little Lumina trailer, and he passed me like I was sitting still, and it pulled quite smoothly, you know, at very high speeds. And again, I'm not into risk, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. But I think the Bushtec trailer out there is something that I have a lot of interest in. It seems to be one of the best ones on the market. I don't own one, but let me tell you what I did this past winter as part of my therapy. I decided to buy the Bushtec trailer hitch, and I've installed that here on the Black Pearl. Now, I haven't bought the wiring, I haven't put the harness on, I don't own a trailer yet, but it's likely that I'm probably going to go buy a Bushtec so that I can take a few more things. We take a jet boil, and we have a small 8-inch pan, non-stick pan, and we're able to stir fry, we're able to cook some things on that, but it would be nice to have a 2 little propane burner stove, just a few more items to make camping that much more enjoyable. So the debate starts now. You know, the thoughts in your mind are surely going to be things like, hey, you know, Clem, you're voiding your warranty on your Harley, or you know, that seems awful risky to be pulling a trailer, you know, or, you know, what about that story I heard about that guy? He was pulling his trailer, he went to avoid a deer, and his trailer passed his bike, terrible accident. So the debate starts as a result of these kinds of things. These are the stories we hear. And I'm sure many of you have heard stories like, you know, I can't believe you ride a motorcycle. My aunt is a nurse in the emergency room, and she told me the other night she saw this and this and this, and all of you have heard those stories, right? Everyone seems they want to share that with you about the most gruesome and most terrible motorcycle accident there is. Well, here's what I think about it. You know, I know that riding a motorcycle is risky behavior. Those are risks that I accept. Now, I'm not saying that I'm overly risky, but I do everything I can to prepare, to train, to learn to be a better rider, to mitigate all those risks. And, you know, Roxy, she loves to ride with me. I rarely get to leave without her. She just loves it, and she trusts me. And with that trust, that makes me always think about being that much more safe. Now, there's always risk involved, but I've accepted that risk because this is something that I love to do and that Roxy loves to do. And if I eventually buy this trailer and hook it to this bike, again, I will take every precaution that I can, whether I put brakes on it or I'm going to do everything in my power to mitigate the risks. I'm sufficiently satisfied that the trade-offs of risk versus opportunity and enjoyment are sufficiently reasonable and acceptable to me, and I would never do anything that would put my sweetheart at risk. Now, the other topic, my bike is 2 years old. I have no more warranty, and I'm okay with that. You know, that's a conscious decision on my part. So let me take the camera now, and I'll pull the saddlebags off, and then I'll show you the hitch, the hardware, and just let you see it and show you a couple of the screenshots of some of the documentation that came with it. I think the cost was about $320, $30 US. But anyway, so let me show that to you, and then after we do that, I'll come back and give you some closing thoughts. With the Bushtec trailer hitch, here's some of the documentation that came with it. There's a tremendous number of warnings about voiding your warranty, about possible injury or death in an accident situation. So they're extremely careful about protecting their liability. Multiple pages of instructions here, and the photos being black and white are just extremely poor as far as being able to see what you're looking at. A shout out to Old Friends and New Roads. He put a Bushtec hitch on his Road Glide, and you know, that was quite helpful watching his video. So I've taken the left saddlebag off, and so I want to show you some of the parts that go with the hitch. There's basically three main components. This left side here, and there's one just like it on the right, so just matching or mirrored parts. And there's 3 bolts at the top. There's spacers that stand off on the frame here, and then it bolts to the support, the exhaust support here, and then this is the third piece that runs across the back. I'll try to get a shot of that. And so it's pretty innocuous. You don't really see it as I'm riding down the road. It's hidden quite well. There really isn't much to it. It's pretty solid, very stout. This is probably 1/4-inch plate that this is made out of in here. So I'll go get the removable piece of the hitch. So what you're looking at is the receiver portion, and then this is the removable section like you'd normally see. With the pin, the locking pin. And then on the Bushtec trailers, they have a heim joint as opposed to a ball, but you could use either one. But I think the heim joint is probably the most stable. I really like the way it's designed. So that's basically it. It's not rocket science. So guys, let me just end with a couple of thoughts on the subject. I'm certainly not advocating that everyone needs to have a trailer, and I'm not a Bushtec representative. I certainly wouldn't press my thoughts on anyone. This winter I'll be studying it a little bit further. I may order one and get it coming. They're really hard to find used, although there's a used market out there and you can search for it, Facebook groups and the like. But I'm probably, if I buy one, I'll probably buy new. They're not cheap, but I think they're probably worth the money. And if I buy this trailer and hook it up, I'm sure that I'll be able to take a little more gear, be a little more comfortable. And the fact that we go to a campsite, we park for several days, and then we travel around the area on the bike. The trailer's going to be to a campsite and returning from a campsite. So let me just close with this. Thank you guys for coming along, watching the video, tolerating the lead up to what I thought would be a controversial subject. So chime in now. Tell me what you think. Share your comments on the subject. Tell me about your trailers. And if you like the content I'm putting out, you know, give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment. You know, subscribe to the channel. and select that bell icon. You'll get notified when I put up another video. Listen, I appreciate y'all coming along. So next time, y'all come get on the road and go with me and Roxy.